Here we are. It's February 10th, 2021, and we have Friendly Fire, the discussion between the right and the left with Mike Essen and Rabbi Barry. Take it away, gentlemen.
Hey, thank you so much, Sharon, for allowing this to happen. Thanks to everybody for being with us, and it's a pleasure to be here. I believe this is our first official installment of Friendly Fire. Is that right, Mike? I mean, we've been on before, but...
Yeah, the first initial one, yes.
But we've never actually been on with the title Friendly Fire. So we're going to engage in a friendly discussion. We're going to disagree agreeably. And if nothing else, we hope to set an example of the fact that you don't have to get angry and yell and scream just because somebody has a different point of view. So we're going to talk about a whole range of topics. Everyone can ask any questions they want or bring up any issues they want. You're all welcome to do so. But I thought because of the major issue going on right now with the impeachment proceedings, I thought that would be a good one to start with. So Mike, if you'd like, I'll let you start out.
Sure.
And share some thoughts that you have about this impeachment process.
I think we have to move forward as a country and forget Donald Trump at the moment because he is gone. He doesn't hold any public office. We're impeaching a private citizen. I mean, and they're doing this so he'll never run again, and they fear him. Think about this, guys. David Duke was elected. I'm not comparing Trump to David Duke, but here's a Nazi who was elected state representative and ran for office and almost became governor, and they didn't even do this to him. It's absurd, and they're trying to take away his home from Mar-a-Lago. They could do that to anybody if they do this to him. I mean, the witch hunt is going on against this man, and it's just dividing the country completely. I mean, we could be working on ways to help the stimulus package, ways to protect the border, ways to help Israel, ways to help our country. And this is what we're going through. Biden's off to an atrocious start. You got the mic, Barry.
Mike, are you saying that you don't fear someone who incited mindless, brainless, indoctrinated, cultish people to kill and to take over the Capitol and to maim and to threaten democracy? You're saying you don't fear this guy?
He didn't do those things. I mean, he never said maim, kill people, do all that. That sounds like Antifa and Black Lives Matter. He actually condemned it eventually. He has never, the right never incites violence. He never incites violence.
No, never. Hey, Mike, no, they never incite violence except when Donald Trump said, beat up that guy and carry him out on a stretcher. If you assault them and you are sued, I'll pay your medical bills. Hey, police, don't be so nice. Hey, Proud Boys, stand by. You're telling me he doesn't incite violence? I don't, Mike. Mike, if you want to have a discussion,
I am.
Okay. Well, at least say the truth about the facts. You're claiming that Donald Trump does not incite violence?
No, I mean, he did say a long time ago in his first campaign once to hit somebody if they hit you back, or I'll shoot, or if my followers would shoot, if I shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, they'd follow me. It was a stupid comment, but I don't think that this was not his insurrection. I mean, this was something.
Actually,
he's
Mike,
out of office now. He lost, Barry.
Hey, Mike, you know what? You proved that his comment wasn't so stupid. You prove him right. He said, if I shot someone on Fifth Avenue, my supporters would still follow me. And you're now proving tonight, you're giving graphic proof that not only could he shoot someone on Fifth Avenue, he could stage a demonstration and a revolt and treason, and which resulted in not one person, but 5 dead, many injured, and you'll still support him. I want to ask you a question. If it wasn't for Donald Trump, would that siege have taken place? Would that treason have taken place? If Donald Trump never existed, would that have happened?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you why.
It would have happened.
There's a lot of rumors around. There's a lot of pictures shown on Right Side Broadcasting. Antifa was behind that insurrection. You can see it. But here's the point. The point is even greater, Barry. He's gone now. He's out of office. I mean, let's move to issues.
Mike, I enjoy speaking with you, but you might want to stick with reality. You think this was an Antifa rally. Did you see all the Trump flags? Did you see all the people shouting for Trump?
I'm not saying it was completely Antifa, Barry. There were not all of them committed violence, though. I mean,
did you see
it was wrong, it was sick. But I mean, he didn't incite that. He condemned it eventually. And I mean, someone from the Ku Klux Klan or the Antifa or Black Lives Matter or even the Proud Boys, who I don't think are, I have to study them a little more. I mean,
Mike, when did he condemn it? Before or after he said, "Good job, patriots, I love you"? Was it before or after he said
that comment? So that probably
I didn't think so. There's a lot of stuff you don't seem to remember. Do you remember all the Trump flags that were out there? Do you remember all the Confederate flags?
That's a site of violence because people supported him. There's rotten apples in every barrel. Just like Abby Johnson doesn't incite pro-life violence when they blow up clinics. You can't say she does that either. She's the leader of the pro-life movement in the country. It's the same kind of logic.
Okay. Well, let me. I'll just share. I just asked some questions, but let me just share my point of view.
Okay.
Trump is a cancer on this society. He started out saying, if I don't win, the election has to be rigged. Now, for people who would support him, even if he shoots someone, they don't care. That's fine. But for those of us who still have a rational mind and some sense of morality, we recognize that when you say the only way I can lose is if the election is rigged, this guy is a cheat, a liar, and a fraud. That is such a ridiculous thing to say. Then afterwards, when he loses, he says, you see, they stole the election. He files 60 lawsuits, loses all of them. Then after that, he pressures people to try to get them to change their vote and to overturn the Electoral College. Then he has vigilantes going out, threatening to kill people unless they turn their state around, and people are in fear for their life. And instead of telling them not to do it, he's encouraging them and giving them an attaboy. Then he tells everyone, show up on January 6th. And then when they show up, he says, we're going to fight like hell. You're going to take back our country. You're going to save our democracy. You got to go in there because if you're weak, we'll never get control of this country. We got to take it back from the steal when there's no evidence of it. And he's talking to people that are vigilantes and violent people. He knows that. And then when it's going on, instead of stopping it, he calls up somebody in the Capitol asking them to help him overturn the election instead of saying that you should call this off. I mean, Mike, I'm really surprised. I really
am. Question, Barry.
Because in the past you've been pretty reasonable, but right, today you're
I'm trying to say, Barry, I'm trying to say he's irrelevant now, though he's gone.
Well, let me ask you something, Mike. That's a good defense. You realize that you lost on that one. You realize that he's responsible for all of it. So then you say, well, okay, fine. Okay, let's move on.
I said the opening statement.
I have a question for you, Mike. I have a question. Then we'll open it up. If there was a black guy and he killed somebody, would you say let's move on? Would you say let's put it behind us? Would you say that's irrelevant? Trump committed the greatest crime of any president in the history of the country. He instigated an insurrection and treason. You don't notice that because you don't notice that.
Question is only fair I answer it. If that is the case,
it is.
Then isn't that for law enforcement to take over, not Congress just to impeach him so he doesn't run again?
One does not have anything to do with the other. You need both. First of all, you need to react because the government has to take action so that they know that a president can't do this anymore. You have to stand for something or you fall for anything. You have to take action to punish wrongdoing. You don't just say, well, let somebody else do it. I'll let some other people do it. Go ahead. Who else wants to join in?
Rabbi.
Yes.
Hi, Rabbi. A couple of things. One, we're forgetting that violence happened decided even as soon as Trump started walking down the escalator, riding down the escalator and everything else, the heat that was on both sides was going on. And there were a lot of people on both sides having problems. Maxine Waters instigated a lot of heat, going into the restaurants, going into bars, going into clubs, going in the street. If you see someone to support Trump, do whatever you can to interfere, create a chaos. That's Maxine Waters. It's on video. Everybody's wrong. Look, it's up to investigate, like law enforcement. I'm part of law enforcement. That's what I do. We have to investigate. If there's a crime, we get the evidence and then we do the trial. In this trial that's going on right now in the Senate, technically, under the Constitution, is unconstitutional because under the articles of the Constitution, when it comes to when you're doing an impeachment, it has to be presided by the Chief Justice of the United States. There is no other one that's doing it, supposed to be based on the Constitution. Right now, you got Senator Lady doing it. That's a direct violation. The courts will throw this out, no matter what the system is, come at the end of the result. And all you're going to do is waste taxpayers' money. And this is what, if Trump is guilty, put him in jail. I don't care. I'm law enforcement. If he's guilty, comes from Broward County, I will arrest him. All right? Same thing with Biden. If he commits a crime, I will arrest him. I don't care. I don't play politics. If you do the crime, you do the time. As I told you, you may be surprised at my attitude.
I am surprised that a law enforcement officer would not demand that Trump be impeached for killing a law enforcement officer.
I'm demanding an investigation done legitimately with the evidence in a court of law.
What do you have to investigate? We already have it on film that he's encouraging people and his followers killed people. What else do you have to investigate? By the way, what you're saying about the constitutionality is dead wrong. Even conservative scholars agree that they have the right to impeach. And the Chief Justice.
I'm not talking about.
Let me finish.
I'm talking about the procedure.
Let me finish. You're wrong. You're wrong.
You want this to stick within the guidelines of the Constitution, the Chief Justice should have been doing it. You're the idea that he was in office when the impeachment started, so he could go to the second phase of trial, even though he's out. That's being challenged in court right now. We will see.
And you're wrong. The Chief Justice does not have to oversee it.
If Donald Trump did what he did,
let me respond, please.
He's out of politics.
You're wrong. The Chief Justice does not have to respond. If that was true, then the Chief Justice could veto the entire process, and he does not have that power. It's up to the Senate. He does not. He does not have that power.
He's like a judge. The Chief Justice is a judge. He hears both sides, a pro and con, and then based on the information.
Let me explain something to you. If what you're saying was true, that you have to have the Chief Justice oversee it, that would mean that he could just say, I'm not going to do it, and that would end the procedure. It doesn't work that way. You're wrong. And all the constitutional scholars disagree with you. Go ahead, Sharon.
So if you had a child that was doing something wrong, forget about Trump for a minute. Let's just say you had a child that did something wrong, really wrong. You know, I mean, he kicked the dog next door, or he took a gun to the neighbor next door, anything. You would punish him. Exactly. If he did something wrong, you punish him, because if he does it again, somebody could literally die or whatever. So you want to punish the child. Let me get my Joe. Let me finish talking. Okay. You need to punish the child or the adult for whatever they do wrong. I mean, that is America. We have a trial system. We have a court system. And if somebody does something wrong, they are tried, and there's a trial, and there's investigations and all that. We saw the videotapes, not only Joe, let me finish, please. We saw the videotapes. We saw what happened on the streets of Washington. We heard his words. We heard what happened in the Capitol. We saw a security officer being crushed to death between the door and screaming for help. We saw people dying, people being trampled on. We don't even know all the people that really got hurt in this. We know that 5 people died, but we don't really know of all the people that got hurt. So I believe whether it's Trump or whether it's whoever, they need to be tried for what they did, and they did a wrong, and they did a real wrong to the United States. We're an embarrassment to the world because of what happened.
I'm not arguing that fact. I agree that Trump should be no longer in politics. I believe if he did cite this and there's evidence on it, put him away, arrest him. I'll be the first to arrest him.
It's not an
Right.
if. Both of you are defending a murderer and a traitor.
I'm not defending
it's
anything. I'm
shocking.
defending
you
the
are.
process.
No, you are. You're
I think
saying
Trump's
if.
guilty.
You're saying if.
I think Trump is gone. I think he's guilty. I think he's gone. I think his ego went through with it. I think he should be put. I think he's done. I think we should concentrate on the American business. And
here's the problem. Here's the problem. The problem is that Trump's brainwashed, deluded, cultish followers will still vote for him. And what the Senate is saying is that he should not
right now doesn't have support.
You got to cut him off because he doesn't let anybody talk. You got to cut off his mic. Thank you. If what you're saying and you actually believe that he shouldn't be the president anymore, that's the purpose of impeachment. That's why he was impeached, so that he couldn't be president anymore. The Senate refused to hear it in time. And the reason why you have an impeachment is so that what you say should happen actually happens. For you to say, if he did these things, there's never been a crime where there's better evidence than we have against Trump. He was literally telling people, you got to fight like hell to vigilantes. And while it was going on, and he knew it, and he was supposed to uphold the Constitution and defend democracy, he was egging them on and encouraging. He made one call to one of the senators saying, I hope you're going to delay the process. And that's what he did. He had every opportunity to call them off, and he didn't. He's totally responsible for it. And for you to say, well, if he did it, and the classic Trump defense is, well, look what Maxine Waters did. You know, I don't really care what she did. It has nothing to do with it. You Trump supporters have to put on your big boy pants and recognize that if he does something that's criminal and commits treason, don't tell me what Maxine Waters is doing. I don't care.
Barry.
We move on to a different subject, Rabbi.
Go ahead, Sharon. Go ahead, Sharon.
Let's move on to a different topic.
Okay.
I want to talk about what Rashida Tlaib said. Okay, Rashida Tlaib was literally crying in the halls of Congress saying her life was threatened and her children's lives were threatened. And she was saying what a horrible thing this is. And I want to agree with her. That is a horrible thing. I've had my life threatened. To have our government having their lives threatened is horrible. But my question for Rashida Tlaib is, if you feel that strongly about how bad it is to threaten someone's life, why do you not take issue with Hamas? Why do you actually side and back people who threaten the lives of Israelis, not just once in a while, every single day that Israelis are alive, their lives are threatened, and the lives of their children are threatened by people who have no problem walking into a school and tossing a bomb and killing children? How is it even possible that you would be so sensitive towards your life being threatened and you have absolutely no regard for the lives of Israelis being threatened? I'd like to know why that is, and I'd also like to know why is it that the Democratic Party has not chastised her for that also and said, now you know what it's like to have that experience for a day. What would it be like to experience that every day? I would like for some of the Democrats to chastise her. I, as a Democrat, I got my Democratic tie on. I'm going to chastise her and the party for not saying something to her about it. And I'm going to encourage Republicans to also be able to criticize their government and their party. Because as far as I'm concerned, if the Republican Party doesn't condemn treason, if the Republican Party doesn't condemn murder, and if the Republican Party doesn't condemn cop killers, the party is over.
I want to say something about that, Barry, because we're mostly in agreement here. We're pretty much in agreement. When Marjorie Taylor Greene talked about killing Nancy Pelosi, Rob, I agree with you that that's sick. This is directly related to Rashida Tlaib. Rob Portman, Asia Hutchinson, and Mario Diaz-Balart, there were Republicans who did condemn her. Not enough, but they did. I condemn her right now. That's it. She made anti-Semitic comments and made conspiracy theories about Newtown and Parkland. And I give you credit for repudiating Rashida Tlaib. This is a woman who said the Holocaust gave her a warm, fuzzy feeling. And I had relatives who died in the Holocaust. I don't consider that I consider that sick, and I think she should have been not only repudiated, but I mean censored for that, or I mean you can't throw her out but I mean we have such bigotry going on in this country, such hate, such division, but you're right about Israel. This is a country the size of Rhode Island, surrounded by enemies who want to blow them up every day. Our support of them has kept them alive, and she sides with the terrorists.
And too political. The ironic thing is that Israel stands for all the principles that she claims to believe in: women's rights, civil rights, gay rights, human rights, and freedom. And this is the one country that stands for all of it, and that's the one country that she condemns. Now, let me ask you something else, Mike. What do you think about the Republican Party going green, backing this lunatic green? What do you think about that?
Well, my comments were in the beginning of the session, but I'll say it again. Most Republicans did. I think it was a terrible decision, because this woman talked about Newport being a hoax. She talked about Nancy Pelosi's life being threatened. To their credits, Rob Portman and Asa Hutchinson, the governor of Arkansas, did condemn her, but not enough did.
Okay, well, we're in agreement on that. Anybody else? Anybody else want to bring up any other topics? I got plenty more, but who else wants to join in?
Barry, I agree with you on green, by the way. I condemn green, I condemn TIAP. We need to work together and not fight and conspiracy theories and stuff like that. What I wanted to say before is that we need to focus on the business at hand, American people. We need to get that stimulus going. We need to get $15 an hour. We need to work and try and eliminate the hate on both sides and come together in some understanding. That's all I was trying to tell. I told you, you're going to be surprised at some of my answers. The problem with Trump, I want Trump gone. I want this Trumpitis gone. I want to focus on what's best for the country. And for me, law and order, because that's what I'm involved in, and try and eliminate the hate and the violence, like what's going on in Seattle today, where Antifa trying to break into the police station a little while ago, and riots in Seattle and elsewhere. That's got to stop. We need to focus on this country. We need to focus on the citizens in this country, and not with all this stuff. We're wasting billions of dollars on what? To get rid of Trump. Trump's gone. He's never going to run again. Concentrate on helping the people here. We got homeless in the streets. We got people that can't find a job. That's what we need to do. That's it.
I appreciate your comments, but I believe, as someone in law enforcement, you should believe too, that if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And if somebody commits a crime, they got to be punished. And you don't know, when Trump first ran, they said, he's a joke, he's never going to get in. We should never, ever not take him seriously. He's dangerous, and there's millions of people that are brainwashed and deluded by him. He's a demagogue, and he's dangerous, and they need to make sure that he never, ever sets foot in government again.
To my territory, and he does, and we have, like, if Manhattan DA comes down with a warrant, and he comes down in Broward County, I will arrest him and transport him over to Manhattan.
Sounds good. All right. Go ahead, Mike. What else do you want to talk about tonight, Mike?
I want to talk about, would immigration be an okay topic for us?
Sure, go ahead.
I want to talk about a dangerous proposal by the Biden administration to give the amnesty to 11 million illegal aliens. And this would cost, according to Robert Rector of the Heritage Foundation, trillions in new Medicare, new Social Security. Public schools would have 40 people a classroom. People would, it's an open borders policy that would undermine the rule of law. it would be suicide to the country as well as the Republican Party.
What do you think about him trying to reunite the children with the parents that were separated by Trump?
That's okay. I'm not talking about that though. You are, so we'll talk about it. But I'm for DACA, by the way, if that's what you're referring to.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm not for illegal people, illegals. And I think Memley has her hand up. I'm not for adult people knowingly breaking the law, getting rewarded, and taking people who busted their tail to get here and putting them in second place. So that's what Biden's doing.
So the people who are here illegally, what do you think should happen to them?
The only thing we owe them is to get out of the country.
They should all be tossed out of the country.
If it was possible. You know, Clinton deported more people than they have illegals now. So if he could do it, so could we. But I mean, I mean, if it was up to me, I would, because these are people that broke the law. They're making it hard for people to get jobs. They're milking the system. They're taking away our health care. The immigration is not the issue it was, Barry, even during the time of the Gang of Eight. It's a national security issue and an economic issue as well.
Okay. Well, I don't disagree that we should have enforceable laws on immigration, and I don't disagree that we can't let everybody in. It'd be nice, but we just can't do it. We don't have the resources or the land. So I agree with you there. But if we're not going to be sending people home, and I haven't heard a clear methodology of who gets sent home and who doesn't, but if we're not sending them home, which we're not, and the people are going to remain here, I ask you, Mike, do you oppose, if they're not being sent home, if they're here, do you oppose them having access to health care?
Yes, I do. I hate to say that, but I do. I mean,
so including children, children 6, 7, 8.
Children are different because they didn't knowingly break the law.
Okay, what if they got here as children and then they turn 18? Then they're on their own. What happens?
That's DACA. You're talking about a different program.
No, I'm talking about health care. I'm talking about somebody came here through their parents when they're 8. Now they're 28 and they're sick and they're illegal. What happened? What do you think should happen? Should they have access to health care?
Yes. A child
okay, well, all right. Well, we're getting somewhere. Okay,
because
good.
The thing is, Barry, there's a distinction. They didn't knowingly break the law. These people did. We don't reward illegal conduct. That's not like Sharon was talking about reward and punishment with kids. I'm not saying quoting you, Sharon, but that's what we're doing here. That's what Biden doesn't understand, and he's only doing this probably to register more Democrats.
Well, let me just share with you. The first thing that he did was he's trying to unite people that were cruelly separated by Trump. That's a good thing. Then what he's also trying to do is recognize DACA, which again was not recognized by Trump. That's a good thing. Now, regarding the rest of the people, it's hard to determine which ones came illegally and which ones should be sent home. For instance, in Florida, we have lots and lots and lots of illegal aliens. They come in, they pick crops. The growers want them to come in. They help the economy because Americans won't do it. And it's something that's helpful to us, and they pick the food that we eat. These are illegal aliens. You can't just toss them all home, or it would cause an economic and agricultural catastrophe.
I'm sure many legal citizens would love to have those jobs. And the people who are, and it's costing the country great deals of hell. And it's and it would cost trillions of dollars to the economy, it would ruin the country whatsoever if we were to go the amnesty route. Reagan did it, didn't work then.
There are no American citizens to take those jobs. That's why they're allowed in. And also, if Americans,
you could say that car theft people could get jobs too. That's a crime.
Also, no, the difference is, Mike, that if these people didn't come in, we wouldn't have food. Okay, these people pick the food that we eat and grow the food at a price that is very low. If we had American citizens doing that, when you go to the store or a restaurant, your food would cost 3 or 4 times as much. These people are serving a great benefit, and so are other aliens as well.
We have a hand raised, guys. Raylene, go ahead, ask your question.
I was just going to say, I lived in California for 10 summers, and these people own homes. They pay taxes. They don't get any of the benefits from the taxes. Their kids go to school. We just can't throw them out. They've made a life here. They buy cars, they buy clothing, they spend their money, and they don't get any Social Security. We should have help them out. So they can make a
Really?
life in America.
Raylene, I appreciate
Sorry, go ahead.
Raylene, you're sharing a biblical view, a Jewish view, which says, love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. So say what you want about immigrants. The Torah is very clear on it. We should love them and treat them well.
Love legal immigrants.
Ron, did you have your hand raised, Ron? Ron Ziegler?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
We can.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, Mike, hey, everyone, this is my beautiful wife, Brenda.
Oh, come
Hey,
on.
Brenda.
Yeah, we're both on Social Security, and I was told that if the immigrants do come over here, part of my check is going to have to support them. I only make like $730 a month, and that I just get by with that. And my wife makes about the same, and we barely get by, and we live in this nice big home, as you see. And I don't want to lose my home, and I don't want to lose my benefits. I want to be productive, but I can't because I have stage 4 kidney disease, and I'm a type 2 diabetic, and I want to live. I don't mind people coming here, but I want to live. And if they want to come and live here, then they should work, follow our guidelines, learn our language, and follow the guidelines of our humanity and just live normally. That's all I want from them.
Go ahead, Emily.
I don't want to see.
First of all, your Social Security benefits will not be decreased. That's number one. Number two, there was a movie that came out a few years back that was shown at Palm Beach State College as well as other places, and it was called A Day Without a Mexican. I don't know if anybody has seen it, but it's a pink haze settles over Los Angeles, and everyone of Hispanic origin disappears. And it follows the economy of the area for a few weeks, and everything just crashes. There are no people to clean houses, do gardening, do all the menial jobs that other people do not want to do. It was a fascinating treatise on the value of immigrants. Remember, we're a nation of immigrants. When my parents came from
legal immigrants. We're not talking
about. I'm not necessarily legal. Any immigrants.
Has nothing to do with that.
Well, I just think there's every human being has value, and every human being is entitled to be able to be healthy and eat and contribute to society. And that's just my feeling.
Thanks, Emily.
You know what? I would like to marry my wife legally, but if I do, they'll reduce our benefits, and one of us will lose our check. And I would like that.
That's not true. That's not true.
That is true, because I tried to marry her. They took away my benefits and cut her Medicare. And now she's only got Medicare Part A and does not have Medicare Part B as a result of me and her getting a spiritual wedding. I mean, I want to do things right in the eyes of my faith, but not in the eyes of humanity. I can't do both. I want them both to coexist, but it seems like we can't. And now they're going to try to mandate this double mask issue on top of it. And I have problems breathing.
Wait a minute, that's a different issue. And I don't understand that. My husband just passed away, and he was getting his Social Security, and I was getting my Social Security. One thing had nothing to do with the other. He passed away.
That's just the point. Sorry, Ron. That's just the point. We haven't legalized the illegals.
Ron, I just want
to go ahead, Larry.
I just want to comment, Ron. So you're married illegally, but you're criticizing.
I'm married in the eyes of God. That's what we did.
You're married illegally, and you're criticizing aliens because you're saying they're illegal.
No,
your wedding, yes, you are. You've already.
I'm married in the eyes of God, and I don't care what you believe in. I believe in God. If you don't, that's your problem.
Ron, it has nothing to do with believing in God. What does that have to do with it?
It was a spiritual wedding. It was a spiritual.
No, yes. Ron, it has to do with.
My pastor married us. My pastor married us in the eyes of God under a spiritual wedding.
Ron,
I've been with my wife.
Sharon, cut him off. I believe in the law. And the law says that when you marry someone, it has to be solemnified by the state of Florida. And if you get married religiously, but not by the state, in order to avoid the tax ramifications, that's illegal. You're an illegal marrier, and you're criticizing illegal aliens. And you know what? You say you like your big house. I like your big house too, but it's downright selfish and un-Jewish, I would say, to say, or even irreligious. If you're not Jewish, it's irreligious to say, I like my big house and I don't want them to have a nice house because that's going to affect my benefits. Well, you know what? We have an obligation to care about each other. Maybe you don't, but some of us care about other people besides ourselves, and we want them to have good things too. And it's not going to reduce your Social Security benefits. That's not true.
Actually, I'm going to tell you something. When Trump first got into office, the first thing he did was to eliminate the marriage penalty. So technically, there was no way he could have got punished on that. And Social Security, for whatever reason, was trying to screw him. I'm with you on that, Barry, as far as that's concerned. As far as Social Security, he shouldn't have been punished, and he is, because I checked it. And whoever's telling him in Social Security is lying to him. Now, as far as illegal and legal aliens, that's time again questionable because of what's, we have, this country is a country of immigrants because that's what we were. In fact, we were called the melting pot. Remember that? New York, melting pot and everything. You and I come from that area. Look, we could all get along, but economically, when we're talking about picking lettuce and the farming and all the other stuff, and Americans don't do those jobs, everything, because the lower pay. Economically, when we hire all these people illegals because it's lower pay, we're actually bringing down salaries across the board based on capitalism and economics. So if you want to raise the minimum wage, by doing all these illegals, you're not raising the minimum wage, you're actually lowering it. What we need to do is recognize the people and actually get them to become legal. And the best way to do that is not to slap the ones that work hard to get in this country legally and going through the process, but find a way where we can take these people, go back in the line, go through the routines that they're supposed to be, not kick them out, and get them a pathway to citizenship without punishing people that in this country legally and going through this stuff. Now, as for all those people that work and everything, I agree with that, and they do a service. What I'm worried about, because of law enforcement, is the drug cartel, the gangs, the rapists, the murderers, the coyotes, and all those people. They use these children to come across pretending to be parents. And a lot of these kids come in without parents because their actual parents paid coyotes to bring them in and stuff like that because they get money that end. And that's the problem, along with the drugs and everything else. So finding parents to these kids is extremely difficult. We should unite them. I'm a father, I have a son, I believe in family entity, believe in two parents. And I don't like it, whether it was Obama beforehand or Trump separating stuff. That is wrong. And I condemned it. We need to unite the families, but we also got to recognize that a lot of these kids don't have parents that brought them across.
I appreciate your voice of reason and trying to bring some objectivity to the discussion. Anybody else want to share some thoughts about this or another topic? Mike? Go ahead, Ron.
Would Ron want to talk, or who's?
Go ahead, Ron.
I think
Unmute.
you're muted.
He's muted.
Ron, unmute yourself. Just click on the little microphone.
Okay,
Yeah,
did I do it?
You got
Okay.
it.
There you go.
I'm trying to be like Mr. Spock. I'm trying to learn. My wife, this is my wife's parents' home. And the brother lives in another state and he takes care of his sister, and we help pay the rent through by helping him out, and we take care of the place while we live here. I was in an ALF for 2.5 years where they over medicated me, and I had to get out of there before they killed me, and I'm glad I'm out. But about people coming here, I don't mind them coming here. I just want them to live normally and do what is expected of them, not commit crimes, not to hurt people, just to live normally. And
Yeah.
my marriage is spiritually fit because it was in the eyes of my faith. And that's all I have to say about that.
I agree with you. Whether it's legally fit, that's a different story. As far as the immigrants are concerned, I'm just surprised, Ron, that you said that they don't work hard. I mean, they're the
I didn't say
hardest
that.
working people
I
I
didn't
know.
say that. I didn't say that.
Yeah, you
didn't
said
say
that they don't, if they don't want to work, these
they
people
don't.
work harder than anybody I know. And as far as
And I
living a
was-
normal life, you
And
mentioned criminals. You say they're criminals. This is just shocking to me. Yes, there are some criminals who have come in, but to castigate them as if they're criminals, most of the people coming in are hardworking, good people. And to even bring up criminality, I mean, yes, I agree with what Joe said. We do have to screen people, and we do have to watch who we're bringing in. But to castigate them as if, oh, I just want them to live a normal life, or I don't want them to be criminals, or I want them to work. The vast majority of them work hard, pay taxes, help this country, and are good, honest, hardworking people. And we should not castigate them.
I would give anything to have a normal working job. I miss my work. I was a nighttime porter for 15 years at Burger King. I loved that job. I was responsible for cleaning that store, and I kept it, maintained it, and I was responsible, and I missed that type of work. It was hard work, but I worked my butt off to maintain it and keep my bosses happy with it. And over the years, I tried to keep other jobs and I couldn't because of my mental health. And then because of my alcoholism, it declined, and I ended up lost soul for a while. And then I found my wife, and then me and her hooked up, and she's been a blessing to me. And I've been very, very faithful. And we go to our psychologist and we do what we got to do as people with disabilities. And all I want to do is live a normal life. And if you check out my writings on Facebook, I do writings on mental health, and I do quite well with the writings because I got that celebrities that are actually following me on my Facebook, and a lot of them like my writings. I said they're just chicken scratches on the walls. Tossed at the salad and scrambled eggs is what I call it. But thank you guys for letting me share. I hope I didn't offend anyone, but my humanity is worthwhile, and I want people to understand what it's like to have a condition of mental health and still have a condition of an affliction where you can live. Thank you guys. I hope you all will.
Ron, it's a pleasure to hear from you. And I do appreciate your writing on the topic. It's a very important topic. If you want to send something to us, we'll be glad to take a look, and maybe we can share it with other people. And I'm really, really glad that you're no longer working at a place that profits off of murdering animals. I think it's great that you're no longer at that place.
I miss that work because I was the best broiler person. They say, can you put that broiler together in 45 minutes? I did it in 25. And I cleaned it, I scrubbed it, and I put it back, and my boss came in, I had everything hooked up. The floors were swept and mopped, the bathrooms were fantastically clean. I always use cleaners to maintain the store, and the managers would come in and they were impressed because I did an 8-hour job in 4 hours.
That's very good. I congratulate you on that. You had a very clean death factory going. Okay, who else wants to share something with us?
I do.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think there's a distinction people have to make between illegally breaking into the country and making a living as opposed to people who did it the legal way, like many people do. Like Israel doesn't have much of an illegal immigration population. Because, and right now, I've talked to people, I don't name people publicly, and I think you understand that, whose boyfriends have lost their jobs or have lost health care. I mean, look at California. The illegals have taken over that state, and it's just saddening. And I'm not saying it's even possible to deport all of them, but I think we have to prioritize people who came in the right way as the wrong way. And just because they pay taxes You know, thieves pay, car thieves and bank robbers pay taxes too.
Mike, I just want to share with you that I do agree with you. We can't take everybody in, but as a Jew, I find it kind of offensive to hear people talking about the right way and the wrong way. Our country turned back over 900 people to their death. And well, to suggest that, oh, we came in the right way or the wrong way, that's preposterous. You know, the United States supports dictators who are butchering people. Some of them manage to find their way to our shores and claim refugee status. Do you know that when we reject them categorically, we're acting illegally? They're following the rules. If their life is threatened, they have the right to seek asylum. And when we send them back and separate them, we're the ones who are acting illegally. And as
You're contradicting yourself. You're contradicting yourself. So we can't take everybody in, but we're acting illegally. I don't see the.
There's absolutely no contradiction. What I'm saying is, if somebody is fleeing for their life, they have a right to refugee status. That's exactly what I'm saying. Not everybody does.
Roosevelt was insane for turning back the SS St. Louis. That was sick what he did.
Right, and we today are taking people who are fleeing from death squads and persecution, and we're telling them go back to die because we don't recognize your status. We don't even give them a trial. We don't even hear them. We just, especially under Trump and under Obama to a large extent, they're just all sent back. That's wrong and it's illegal. We should.
That's like, think about this analogy, Barry. Just think about it for a second. This abused children, and there's foster children, and they say to me, stick a few more people in your house. It's not our job. We're not the nanny of the world. There's a lot of, we could encourage countries, like you've talked about this when I've been in your temple, to be kinder and
have you ever seen the Statue of Liberty?
Of course.
Why don't you just toss it in the ocean and destroy it then? We do have an obligation.
It's about legality. It's about following the law. That's just, you're making my point for me.
You're saying something that is so heartless. I gave you an example of someone who's fleeing for their life from a death squad, and you're saying, "Yeah, we can't be the police of the world." I just want to know, Mike. I just want to ask you this question: if you're sitting on the border, and a family comes over and their life has been threatened in Guatemala, and they go through all types of turmoil to finally get here, and they finally make it and they kiss the ground, are you going to send them back to their death and say, "Hey, sorry, we can't be the policeman of the world," and just send them back? Is that what you would do?
No.
Thank you. Okay. I think we've had a good discussion.
We did.
I think we can call it a day. It was successful in my opinion because we had different opinions, strongly different opinions. We had extremely diverse views, and we managed to end up friendly. It's this friendly fire. This was our first episode of it. I thank everyone who participated.
Can I get my website out, Barry? Sorry, can I get my website out?
Go ahead.
Sure.
You go ahead, give your website, and then I'll close it out.
Sure. The Mike Essen Show airs every Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. It's blogtalkradio.com/MikeEssen show.
Okay, let me just also thank Mike. And I do want to thank Mike for this. Very, very few people have the ability that he does to get on the air or to get in a just public discussion and speak intelligently and rationally and defend a position without getting mad and staying calm. And it's not easy to do with me because I'm a rabbi and a lawyer, so I can be kind of abrasive, but he does, and he does it well. And I thank you, Mike. You are doing a public service. I encourage people to watch, to listen to you, because you are exactly what we need. We need people on both sides of the aisle that can open up friendly discussion and allow our country to heal. You're doing a great benefit by doing that and by being with us. And for that, I thank you. And I look forward to the next rendition of Friendly Fire.